Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate Day 1084. TowerGate Day 1084, March the 26th, 2020, Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so obviously almost all coronavirus related type stories. We have some other political stuff and an update on the Durham investigation. So let's go ahead and get into it. It's almost hard to know where to begin. I mean, it's just another day of the same old, and it's getting tiresome, quite honestly, to have to do a video every day and talk about the same type of thing. And but it continues to be the dominant issue of the day. And I'm not even talking about the coronavirus. I am talking about the fake news media and their allies, the demo commies, and the way that they are politicizing this so-called national crisis. I've just never seen anything like it. I understand that in normal times, the demo commies and the fake news media are going to do what they do, which is lie. But you would think that in a situation like this, where you really need the fake news media to tell the damn truth, and you really need the demo commies to actually focus on solving a problem, you would think that something like this would get their attention. But it's becoming quite clear and quite obvious that they understand it. Believe me, they understand what they're doing. That they really are hell-bent on destroying the president. And if they have to destroy the country, they believe that it's worth it. And probably because they believe that what's on the other side of it is to use the failure to say that, see, capitalism failed, and therefore we need socialism. That's probably in their mind. So Trump is starting to get frustrated. He's done a very good job of controlling himself the last 2 weeks or so, dealing with this virus. He's tried to ignore a lot of the political crap. He's not doing a lot of tweeting. He's not doing a lot of that sort of thing. He's staying away as much as possible from the partisan political bickering, and he's just trying to bring everyone together to get this situation resolved. But that is not in the interest of the demo commies and the left-wing fake news media. So they are continuing in their typical fashion. In fact, they've ramped it up a few notches. And it's very troubling, and of course people are paying attention. The problem is we can't throw this son of a bitches out until November. That's the problem. If the election were tomorrow, I believe that the demo commies would get thrown out of power in a big way. I think they would lose many, many seats in the House. I think they would lose seats in the Senate. I think they would lose governorships. I think they would lose state elections, local elections. I think it will be a landslide. Now, that'll likely happen anyway, but it'll have to wait till November. But we can't wait till November. And these people are flat out dangerous at this point. They are dangerous. Dangerously stupid, but they're dangerous in general. Now, Trump got a little bit heated under the collar yesterday at a fake news reporter, I think from CBS or ABC, one of the two. And she hit him with one of those bullshit questions about, getting the country back to business around Easter, and giving him another bullshit question about, do you think that that's, too optimistic, or do you think that that could cause a problem? Are you more worried about the economy than you are about the health of the American people? I mean, just these kind of bullshit questions. And, of course, Trump unloaded on her. Now, he didn't yell at her or scream at her, but he does as he normally would do. He very directly and succinctly pointed out that she's fake news, that they do a lot of lying, and they should tell the truth, especially in a time like this. Now, keep in mind, Congress has an approval rating of about 21% right now. 21%, while the president's poll numbers are surging. This coming on the heels of the most recent poll, and I think it was a Monmouth poll, if I remember correctly, it came out last week, that showed 58% of the American citizens in this country do not trust the news media. 58% do not trust the news media. Congress has a 21% approval. Madam Botox personally has an approval rating in the low 30s, while Trump's approval is surging. Not only that, but we got some numbers on the Trump press conferences, and these Trump press conferences are having incredible numbers. Now we know why they want to stop airing him, because they see the numbers he's getting, and they see the number of viewers. Now, you would think that this would be good for their business because they're getting all these views, but they don't care about the number of views that they're getting when it's favoring Trump, only if it's hurting Trump. So we got these numbers that showed Trump getting 12 million. His press conference the other day got 12 million viewers. 12 million. That is equivalent to Monday Night Football. That is equivalent to some of the highest rated TV shows, primetime TV shows that there are. And when you compare that to the fact that CNN and MSNBC, those two networks, they don't have anyone. I think Rachel Madcow might be the only one that cracks 1 million views. None of the other shows on MSNBC or CNN even crack 1 million views, 1 million viewers. Yet here's Trump getting 12 million on his press conference he had when he had his first major press conference he had, and he's averaging about 8.5 million on all the other press conferences he's getting. Fox News has doubled their viewership from about 3 million to about 6 million, and so we can see the numbers clearly playing in Trump's favor, and this is obviously why the news media doesn't want to cover him. And it's extraordinary. The lies, the unbelievable, just straight up lies that we are seeing in the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS. It's just incredible. You know, most of the media, with the exception of Fox and a few conservative publications, almost all of the so-called mainstream corporate media is literally in complete lying mode. They're in destroy the country mode. And it's just, you would never think in a time like this, you think they would put a pause on things and actually do some real reporting, tell the truth, and, support the president, at least to the extent that they support what he's trying to do to solve the problem. And he is. And he's got the best people around him making the best decisions they can make. And, so this is just, it's pitiful. It's maddening. It's pitiful. It's a lot of things, of many words you can use to describe what we're witnessing here. But I guess it's nice. It's comforting to know that an awful lot of Americans are now aware of this and are awake to what is going on here. But as far as the immediate problem we face, we're stuck with these people. We're stuck with the Democrats right now controlling the House of Representatives. We are stuck with a small majority in the Senate. We are stuck with the fake news media. And they're doing a lot of damage right now. A lot of damage. And, there's a way to punish these people, but, they don't care. Normally you would punish them by not viewing. But these billionaires who own these media organizations don't care. And they don't care CNN if they lose money. They don't care if MSNBC loses money. They're willing to lose money to trash Trump every day, even if they're trashing the country at the same time. It's extraordinary. We are living at an extraordinary time in history. It's a very telling time in history. A lot of people are learning a lot of things right now, but right now we're teetering on the edge of a real deep depression if this thing goes wrong. And I'm a lot more concerned about the economy right now than I am about the virus. When you look at the numbers on the virus, it's a very contagious virus, but it's not a very deadly virus unless you have pre-existing conditions, you're elderly, you have some of these issues, maybe you have a compound flu situation going on, maybe you get influenza or bronchitis and you get this. That could cause you a lot of problems, could kill you. But I'm a lot worried about what's going to happen with the economy if we can't get people back to work in the next 2 weeks or so. I'm getting very concerned. So anyway, that's what we're looking at right now. So let's go ahead and move on to some other topics, but there's other news today that ties into this as well. So let's just keep moving on. Okay, so it looks like U.S. officials have now officially notified and informed the family of Robert Levinson that he has died while in Iranian custody. Of course, Levinson disappeared in 2007. and we believed at that point the Iranians captured him. There had been two different times there have been attempted rescue attempts. Of course, we know about the one attempt by the FBI when they went to Oleg Deripaska and tried to get him, enlist his help. And of course, we know what happened there. That was back in 2010. And of course, we know the rotten Reverend Clinton. The rotten Reverend Clinton put the kibosh on that plan. Now, it's not a secret that he was working for the FBI pretty much as a spy. So he kind of got caught. And sometimes as a spy, you get caught. Usually what we do is countries catch a spy, they hold on to him, and they exchange him for a spy or some political action that they would like in order to get the spy returned. But we don't really have, I guess, anyone that the Iranians are interested in, and they probably don't deal like that anyway, so we have never been able to do anything in order to get Levinson back. So it appears that after years and years of hearing about this individual, it appears now that the family's been officially notified that they believe he has now died in Iran. And you can thank the rotten Reverend Clinton for shooting that down, because they believe back in 2010 they had a really good shot, and Oleg Deripaska probably could have made that happen because of his ability to go into Iran, his relationship with the Iranians. He believed he could be successful. He was willing to use his own money to do it. And the rotten Reverend Clinton shot it down. Well, at this time, it's about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday evening. We still haven't had any word whether or not the Senate has passed this stimulus package. We kept hearing reports all day long that, including a tweet from Twitch McConnell, that they had finally agreed on the bill and that there would be a vote on it sometime during the day. And here we are, it's 9:30 at night. As far as I know, I just checked a little while ago, and it still appears that there's been no vote. Now, maybe it'll happen after midnight or something like that, but at this point, they still not have passed the bill, but McConnell is saying that they believe they do have the votes. But there's other issues that are popping up, and we'll get to that here in just a few minutes. But as of right now, the Senate has not officially passed the bill, despite McConnell saying that they have a deal. And we're also hearing on the House side that Madam Botox, Pelosi galore, the plan was to pass the bill in the Senate, give it right over to the House, let them vote on it, pass it, and get it to the President. But now Madam Botox is balking, and she's saying that they have to review it, which is bullshit, because they know exactly what's in the bill now. Before it even gets voted on in the Senate, they know what's being voted on in the Senate. It's not like they haven't seen it. They know what's in it. So that's bullshit. But she's also saying that she's not 100% sure. So they may have the vote on Thursday, but she's not 100% sure. Well, of course, we saw the markets do real well yesterday, and they started off today doing really well. But at the end of the day, when Madam Botox put out this statement, the market turned back. So you can see that this is clearly being done. The way that Madam Botox is playing this, and the Democrats and the media, they're doing everything they can to do as much harm to the economy as possible to keep there from being any type of a bounce back, and to complicate and confuse things as much as possible, to delay as much as possible, to create as much chaos and havoc as possible, to do as much damage as possible. And this is just another example of it. Okay, let's move on to something else. This news is very scattered today, just because of the way the news came in. So I'll just keep moving through the topics here. It looks like we have a daily Biden gaffe update again today. Not a day goes by that we don't have a Biden gaffe. So let's go ahead and cover the gaffes for today. Well, his first gaffe was earlier yesterday morning, telling a fake news reporter over there at PBS that Trump's numbers haven't gone up. His general numbers haven't gone up, even though he's getting credit for handling the coronavirus. Biden tells this PBS reporter that Trump's numbers really in general haven't gone up. Well, at which point she corrected him and said, well, actually, yeah, his numbers are surging. They've surged about 7 points in a week. We have polls putting him at 49 and 50 and 51% in the last 24 hours. His general approval rating. At which point, Biden kind of got this kind of blank look on his face, had a couple seconds of pause, and then he said, well, I hope he's strong so that he's way above that. I hope he's strong that he's up way above that. He hopes he's strong and that he's up way above that. Now, again, with Burisma Joe, you have to actually look at what he says. He's demented, so what's going through his head and what comes out of his mouth don't jive. So you have to analyze what he says, like we did yesterday. And I think what he's trying to say here is that Biden hopes that he'll stay strong in his approval and that he hopes Trump will be strong enough that his numbers can go even higher. This is the only thing you can draw out of this. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But clearly he was caught off guard. And again, unless something's actually written down for him, and even then it's difficult, but unless he's actually reading something, he literally just could not make a coherent point. He can't articulate. This is the problem Biden is having. I mean, it's pretty clear. He cannot articulate and say what he's thinking. There's a disconnect somewhere between what he's thinking and what comes out of his mouth. He cannot articulate it. He cannot phrase it in a way that's, that you can understand what he's trying to say. And this is happening a lot. It's getting worse and worse, and a lot of people are noticing. He is still claiming, of course, he did another interview, and he's still claiming that he was a professor he's saying he is a professor at an Ivy League school. Now, the lie has gotten a little bit worse. Now he's saying that he got that position as an Ivy League professor after he left the Senate. And that he's been on these campuses and interacting a lot with people on these campuses. But we know for a fact that this was an honorary position that he got, that he's never taught a single class. There's no evidence that he's even been on the campus. No one's aware of him giving any speeches or doing anything on this campus. And in fact, the time period that he was given this honorary professorship was after his 8 years as vice president. When he left the Senate, he went and served 8 years as vice president. And after that, he got this, honorary position as a professor. But he doesn't actually teach anything or do anything or have anything to do with curriculum or has nothing to do with anything. It's just an honorary title they gave him. Yet he's trying to make it sound like he left the Senate and went and taught as a professor for 8 years. No, he left the Senate and became Obama's VP for 8 years. And after that, he got this honorary position. But he believes in his mind, and if you watch him say this, he really believes that he is a professor and that he spent 8 years after leaving the Senate teaching at a Ivy League university. He really believes this. I'm convinced he's not even just lying. He really believes this. This man is sick. He's very sick. He needs to be pulled off the ticket right now. He needs to go and immediately get a medical evaluation for his own health's sake. Where is his family on this? It's disturbing. Not just to me. It's disturbing to demo-commies who are quite aware. And many in the media who are out there lying and covering for him every day know exactly what we're all seeing here. Because they're seeing it too. They just can't tell the damn truth. Now, as I mentioned, getting back to the Senate bill, McConnell comes out and announces last night, actually it was Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, announces that they reached a deal. They were supposed to have a vote on it sometime on Wednesday. But here we are, 9 o'clock p.m., 9:30 p.m., still no vote. So obviously there's a problem. And I think here's one of the problems. It looks like Commie Bernie is saying that he is threatening to stop the stimulus bill unless there are tighter restrictions on companies receiving aid from the stimulus bill. He's going to nickel and dime the details while the country burns. That's Bernie for you. Commie Bernie. So will Commie Bernie have the stones to stop the Senate bill from passing? I mean, does he want that on his head? I mean, he's already unpopular enough. If Bernie does this, he's screwing not only America, he's a lot of other people, he's screwing a lot of his own supporters here. I mean, they're the ones that will be hurt by this. If you're one of those students waiting for this relief package, one of the Bernie bros waiting for this relief package to be passed, and Bernie blocks it, you're probably going to be pissed off. And you don't give a damn about the deal that the airlines are getting, that Boeing's getting, or some big corporation's getting. All you're caring about right now is what you're getting and when. These demo commies are absolutely out of their minds. And, of course, there are rumors now, and this is being widely reported, there are rumors within the Demo Commie Party insiders, the leadership, the insiders in the Demo Commie Party, which would mean the big money donors and the corporate people who actually make the decisions in the Demo Commie Party. And there are rumors that they may want to draft New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to replace Biden if he falters, and they're suggesting that that could be done through a brokered convention. Oh, I'm absolutely convinced that there is a plot by the Demo commies to organize a brokered convention. I think they actually want that. I don't think they want Biden to clear the deck and show up there with the votes he needs to clinch that nomination. I think they want him in a brokered convention. And I think they just want Bernie out of the way so that they can, once they've got Bernie out of the way, then they can decide what to do with Biden, and it ain't to make him the nominee. I'm convinced. I'm convinced that's the plan. I really believe that it's the rotten Reverend Clinton that's trying to elbow her way in. Now, I'm not so sure she's the pick for the Demo commies. I think they know how toxic she is, and she's probably not their top choice. But she really doesn't care. She still has a lot of power. It's still her people running that, Podesta and Perez, and a lot of the other people, and a lot of the donors, and a lot of the super delegates are all Hillary people. So she would elbow her way in there if anyone challenged it, and she would have a lot of support. Now, as far as Andrew Cuomo, I don't see that happening. It would be a very difficult thing for him to do 4 months before an election, to jump out of the governorship and just leave the governorship in New York, especially when they'll probably still be dealing with the fallout from the coronavirus. They'll still be dealing with the economic fallout and impacts of this. For him to jump out of that, jump into a presidential race as the Democrat nominee, he has no organization together. He has no campaign. It would be, I think he would, I honestly believe he would do worse than Biden. I mean, at least Biden has some time for the party to put together some kind of a campaign for him. But to just jump in there and hit the ground running, I don't see it happening. That's why the rotten Reverend Clinton has the edge, because she does have the organization. She's been out there every day making public comments, going on TV, writing books, doing movies, doing all these things. She's never left the spotlight, and she's never endorsed anybody. So I don't think that the Andrew Cuomo thing, and even if they did, Cuomo, he's not the great white hope. He's no more popular than probably Clinton is. And once you hear his ideas and look at his record, he'd probably do worse than the rotten Reverend. I still think she is the strongest competitor, and she's weak. But she's stronger than Bernie. She's stronger than Quid Pro Quo Joe. She's stronger than Cuomo. She's still the best they got. As bad as she is, she's still the best they got. But Biden is also commenting today, saying, or yesterday, saying that as far as he's concerned, he's done with Bernie, and that he's not expecting any more debates. This is to contradict the interview that Bernie gave the previous day, where he was asked if he's going to drop out or considering. He's saying no, I am not considering dropping out right now. I'm looking toward the next round of voting, which is April the 28th, I believe, and he suggested there's still another debate. But so here we have Biden responding to Bernie, saying that as far as he's concerned, Bernie's done, or at least he's done with Bernie, and that he doesn't see any more need for any more debates. So the issue clearly hasn't been decided within the Demo-Commie Party. I don't think they know what to do, to be honest with you. Well, we're getting some more late news that's coming in, and this is being reported by Red State. It appears that Madam Botox, Pelosi galore, may try to insert into the House bill, a $25 million per year pay increase for this year, like a temporary one-time $25 million payment to members of Congress in the House. Doesn't say anything about the Senate, just the House. So Madam Botox wants a $25 million payout to members of Congress, the House of Representatives, that she is going to add to the bill before they vote on it in the House, this stimulus bill. And she is saying that that is for the salaries and expenses that have been incurred by members in the House during the coronavirus fiasco. So she's suggesting that because of what's going on with coronavirus, that Democrats, or I guess all members of Congress in the House, need a $25 million stimulus. That's right. They make what, $175,000 a year. As Speaker, she makes more than that, and the Majority Leader makes more than that. The Whip makes more than that. But the average rank and file member of Congress makes about $175,000 a year. But she's looking for another $25 million to compensate Congress for additional expenses they've incurred during the virus, the coronavirus situation. I don't see that making it, and I think that is, again, political suicide. I can imagine it being reported that what is holding up the bill for relief is Madam Botox wanting $25 million in funding to House members because of what's going on with the coronavirus. I mean, it's just, this is insanity. I mean, this is political suicide beyond anything I've ever seen before. And when you take that in consideration with the fact that on Wednesday, the day that they were supposed to vote on the bill or do something, Democrats who control the House only opened the House for business on Wednesday for 2 minutes. They opened up for business at 10 o'clock, and they banged the gavel at 10:02. Done for the day. 2 minutes. They worked 2 minutes on Wednesday, and she wants a $25 million pay increase for members of Congress and the House of Representatives to compensate them for expenses having to do with coronavirus. I shit you not, my friends. It's not a joke. It's being reported in Red State. It's also over on a couple other websites. You can check it for yourself. Whether I can't see this making into the bill. They can put it in the bill, but I assume that. Then again, we don't know exactly what the Republicans agreed to on the Senate side yet. Those details haven't come out. What was it that they had to agree to get it through the Senate? Did they have to agree to all that Green New Deal shit? We don't know. We really don't know what's been agreed to because they're keeping that pretty quiet. But I have a feeling that when we find out how this thing actually turns out, this stimulus bill is going to be a boondoggle with a ton of garbage piled onto it. It's disturbing. And there's not a damn thing we can do about it, really. We just have to sit back and watch. Now, over the past couple of 2 weeks or so, since this has all been going on, it certainly has crossed my mind, and many of yours, I'm sure, how this is affecting the Durham investigation, especially since Barr has distributed more work onto his office in Connecticut, wanting his office to lead the charge and cracking down on people who are hoarding and people who are spitting on food or wiping on their hands on things who may have coronavirus or whatever. He's put Durham in the Connecticut office to be the tip of the spear on that, as if he didn't have enough on his plate. He's a busy man, you might say. But Attorney General Barr did do an interview with the Wall Street Journal 2 days ago, and he was asked about how this is affecting business at the DOJ, and specifically how it is affecting John Durham's investigation. And essentially what Barr told the Wall Street Journal is that Durham's investigation has not stopped because of coronavirus. He said there certainly have been, delays, and there's been certain things that have delayed things a little bit, but it's not really affected in any big way the continuing investigation being conducted by John Durham, looking at the investigators. And he says he doesn't expect that anything having to do with coronavirus at this point, as far as that investigation is concerned, is going to really delay it. He thinks it's still going to be coming out, that Durham's still going to complete his investigation at about the same time. He doesn't expect any major delay. In other words, it's not being pushed back until end of summer or fall or next year or anything like that. As far as he's concerned, as far as Barr is concerned, Durham is still on track to finish his investigation sometime in early summer. That's according to Bill Barr. He also said that Durham was actually in D.C. last week meeting with his staffers regarding high-profile inquiries. High-profile inquiries. So, it looks like the Durham investigation is continuing on, and it's not being affected all that much by the coronavirus, that they're on top of it. But apparently Durham is not in Washington. He's obviously up in Connecticut. He's running the investigation from Connecticut. Obviously he has people working in D.C. on it. Maybe he has people working in his own office up in Connecticut on it. I'm not really sure. We haven't been given that much specific detail, other than we learned back late summer this past year that they had moved into a much larger office space in D.C. and that they had brought more manpower in. So I'm not sure where that manpower came from, but we know the main office that they're operating out of is in D.C. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have people working up in Connecticut on it as well. So we just don't get a lot of information out of Durham or about his investigation. But it did cross my mind over the past 2 weeks how this might be affecting the investigation, whether it will be pushing it back or what have you. But according to Attorney General Barr, he says that business at the DOJ is going on pretty much as normal, and that there obviously are some, minor issues, slow things down a little bit, but as far as putting things on halt, slamming on the brakes or anything like that, no, that's not happening. The DOJ's functioning as normal, going on with their work, all their investigations. In fact, are ramping up certain types of investigations having to do with hoarding, having to do with people, spitting on food or wiping their hands on food or doing things to try to spread the virus. He's talking about charging people with terrorism. In fact, I think they actually did charge some guy with terrorism for licking a package or something. So, yes, that's the latest news on the Barr-Durham investigation. It appears to be going on, and Durham was in D.C. last week meeting with some of his staffers in regards to high-profile inquiries. So, yes, things seem to be moving on. That's the main thing I like to talk about every day, but the coronavirus, quite honestly, has buried just about every other thing that you could possibly want to talk about because it's dominating the news. And, of course, what's probably dominating the news on the, say, I guess for lack of a better term, conservative side is not even the virus itself, but the way that it's being handled by the demo commies and their allies in the left-wing media. I think that that's the two big stories, is the coronavirus and the impact it could have and is having on our economy. That's one big story, but the other big story is how it's being used by the demo commies and the left-wing hacks in the media as a weapon. to purposely participate in the destruction of the country to hurt Trump.